Hi, everybody, and welcome to Gen Friends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson-Passy, and I'm excited to have you here watching as we have this fabulous panel tonight. We have Christine Woodcock from Genealogy Tours of Scotland. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm good, Cheri.
I'm glad you're here. And we have Mary. Oh, sorry. And we have Mary Kircher-Roddy from MKR Genealogy. Hi, Mary.
Hi. Glad to be here.
Glad you guys are here too, so we're going to talk about day 8 of relative race, and we've got a long lost family episode to deal with too. So let's get started with day 8 relative race. We get started with Team Black having immunity, and the opportunity for whatever team wins to either give a 5-day penalty to one of the other teams.
5 minutes.
I mean,
5 minutes.
5 days. 5 days. That would be great. A 5-day penalty, a 5-minute penalty to other teams, and a day 10 benefit. I was getting the day and the day 10 benefit. So that's how we started on day 8. Joe starts off driving and he says to Jerica, I've got a problem. I really got a problem. And she's like, what? Because, he's had health issues and stuff. And he goes, I don't have any clean shirts. I need to do laundry. She's like, what? Don't scare me like that. So off they go. But did you notice that he slept in the camper? We left them camping at the end of day 7. They were supposed to be camping with their relatives. Joe spent the night in the camper. Jerica slept in the tent. So anyway, so he has to do his hair, and then they start driving.
And then at least he didn't want to stop and wash his clothes like he wanted to stop and wash his car a few episodes ago.
Exactly. Red team is having a hard time leaving their relatives, which I thought was really sweet. Lots of hugs and I don't want you to say goodbye. That was really sweet. I liked that.
Well, and they were having a hard time, though, getting sorted about when are we leaving in what directions and who's got the directions and
exactly.
Yeah, Austin was pretty. We're not leaving till we have this figured out.
So we know where we're going. Yes. I like the hug. Did you like the hug?
Yeah.
She's like, okay, no fake hugs.
No fakes. Yeah.
Gotta be a real hug. So I thought that was cute. I love how she calls him Daddy-O. Because my kids call my husband Daddy-O.
Oh.
Oh, I just think it's really cute how she does that. And then, of course, we have Team Green heading out, and they had a hard day. They had some communication issues and things like that. So they were determined to have a better day, get out on the road and get to where they needed to go. The texting was funny. The texting between Team Black and
Team Black sent the text to Red Team, said, we're rooting for you. I hope Green gets a strike. And then they sent the same text to Team Green, rooting for you. Hope Red gets a strike. And they thought they were so funny.
The funny thing is they figured them out. They knew what they were doing. Yes. They said, all that. They said the same text to the other team. And he had. And they were in it to win it. They were not going to, just because they had immunity, they said, we're not pulling a go to the beach like Team Black last year, because they did. They went to the beach. They had immunity, but they went to the beach. So I played around that day. So Joe's like, we're not doing that. We want to win today. We want to, get there in the shortest amount of time, but we want to win. So I thought that was really great. I loved the competition. Do you want to tell us about the competition, Mary?
So they had, the competition happened at a tennis court in the town where they were. And they put on these overalls that had colored Velcro patches on them. And they had to spin the Wheel of Fortune to see, did they have to shoot a ball into the leg and what color.
They had like the Nerf guns.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was like a tennis ball kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if they got a penalty, they had to turn around and get it on their butt and catch it.
Yeah. X. If they got an X, it was a penalty, and the X patch was on their rear end. Yeah. Oh, it was really funny. It was really funny. The only problem was Precious fell and hurt her leg. So that was worrisome for a few minutes, but she was able to walk it out and they were able to get finished. So what a I chalked that up to, another family reunion game. That would be hysterical.
But, still the mother in me always comes out. I'm looking at it's like, someone's going to lose an eye with this game.
Maybe we should make them wear goggles.
I know, exactly, yeah. Yeah, because they were hitting the helmet too sometimes.
Exactly, because they had a miss. Helmet.
Right,
yeah.
right. So.
Oh, that was really funny. Did you notice, number one, okay, we had two issues. We had two issues at the end when they were jumping in their cars, leaving. Red team didn't take off their overalls. They went to their relatives still in those funny overalls. I can't even imagine what they must have thought of them when I ran up to him. And then Joe couldn't get his off.
Yeah. See, I thought it was pretty smart of Red Team not to take them off. Why waste that time?
Saved them time, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
I thought it was just really funny. And then, of course, Joe hopping around. I can't get off. Oh, goodness. So they did pretty well getting to their relatives' homes. What were you going to say, Mary?
Well, I just, when they did finally get to the homes, I just loved that Red Team went to Michael's sister's daughter's house, his niece's house, and he hadn't seen her in about 12 years since her mom's funeral. And then the last time before that, she was just a little girl, preschooler probably. But the thing that was so interesting, and I don't know if you guys noticed it, I just could not get over her facial expressions and her speech patterns were just like Michael.
Yeah.
I mean,
you could see it.
Her mouth when she talked and she just kind of turned down the corners of her mouth or whatever, just like he does when she was thinking. And that it's really interesting because when you see a child with the parents' mannerisms, and this is obviously not her parent, but her parents' sister. So the sister probably has these same mannerisms. Right. And you wonder, I always wonder, is it nature or nurture? But he wasn't around her.
Yeah. So the mom
right.
probably had some of the same things. And I thought it was interesting too. He recognized her face. It took him a minute because he hadn't seen her. But he says, I know that face. So he knew. Yeah. And then Austin says, okay, this is counting as my relative because you've already met her. So we're counting this as mine because they were first cousins. And it was so funny because they were talking to each other and their grandmother, because they share a grandmother, they were each saying, well, Nana said this, and Nana said this about you, and Nana said this about you. And they were, all my life I grew up hearing about you because of what Nana said. So I thought it was really cute.
Yeah, and to get the backstory about Austin, that she was Miss Teen.
Oh yes, I think they had mentioned that. Like the very first show, I think maybe they had mentioned that. Yeah, Miss South Carolina or Words of Miss Teen South Carolina or something like that. So now that's you want to sit there and listen to your Nana tell you, well, your cousin. Yeah. That was very cool. Too funny, but so another really great connection. And she was saying, since my mom's gone, because his sister had died, she says, you're all I have, you're all I have. And so
really nice for the cousin to get the sometimes we're looking at what our favorite teams get, who they get to meet, but to see what the relative really scored on this one.
Right. Exactly. That was really great. Team Green, we get another relative for Paris, which was really nice for him because I know it's probably, I know that really they're there for Precious. And I was kind of hoping this was going to be the dad episode because I only got really one more to go. Because they said next week is the last of the relatives, because after that it's game on to see who wins.
So I'm kind of curious. I'll be really curious about the geography because they took them from Houston to Dallas, and if they go back, because if they go back to kind of catch up her father, I'll think that they were milking it just to get
maybe a little.
But if
I had no
it's
idea,
like Oklahoma or whatever, that they're still continuing on in the line.
Yeah, but the thing is, they had no idea if they were going to make it this far. So,
right.
I don't know if they can milk it or not, because they really don't know how far.
Right. Anybody will go. Yeah.
Right. But the good news is, well, we'll get to that later. We can't spoil it yet. I was going to say, as far as meeting people, so we'll get to that at the end. So yeah, and they got to go with their relative. They went to the baseball,
Batting cages.
The batting cages. Thank you. The batting cages. Yeah. And he said he'd never really played baseball before, but he wasn't doing too bad.
Yeah, no. They've got some athletic chops.
Yeah. So that was a fun time for him. And then black team, they have got the best cousins with all this cool stuff.
So the cousins, it was really funny, asked him if they wanted to go, you ready to go skydiving?
His face when she looked at him and said, I mean, this is a guy that was freaking out last week because he'd never driven in the mountains before.
Right.
And he went through a tunnel. And, he's never done any of this stuff. And she says to him, well, are you ready for skydiving? Oh! And of course she was joking, which I can't even imagine what was going through their heads, because I would have been like, no, I'm not going skydiving. My dad was in the Air Force, and he always says, why would anybody want to jump out of a perfectly good plane? So, I agree with him. But so they ended up going onto a boat, on one of those pontoon boats.
Yeah.
And he cooked dinner for them and everything. So
that Southern hospitality, they just loved the Southern hospitality, and the cousin was just really sweet about explaining what Southern hospitality is all about.
Exactly. And then it started raining a little bit, so it made it even a little bit more peaceful and just kind of just drizzly. But also, did you notice that with green team, they were was it green team or no, red team? They were showing them the ancestry tree. Was that the right one? And then the other one, they were showing the MyHeritage chart. So somebody heard us last week when we said, who made that chart? And they zoomed in and they showed us it was a MyHeritage chart. Thank you.
Yes, exactly.
So I thought that was cool. No, you know what? I think it was Team Black that saw the ancestry tree, because I remember them saying how cool it was to see.
It was on the screen on the ancestry, and then a paper MyHeritage chart for Green Team. Yeah.
So I thought those were really cool.
Yeah,
I was happy that they answered that question. that it was on MyHeritage chart. Those are really nice charts.
They are.
Really,
they are. Yeah.
Really nice chart. So then we get to the Skype call. That Skype call. And once again, they're talking to each other. And I love it when they introduce their newfound relatives to the other teams. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool part of the show. And then, of course, Dan is, asking them about everybody that they've met, the connections. And then, Mary, go ahead. What happens? Who came in first?
Well, so a black team that had immunity, really didn't need to press hard. They ended up coming in first. So they decided they could have given one team a 5-minute penalty.
Yeah, not a 5-day, but a 5
5-minute penalty. Yeah. Minutes, days, it's all kind of thing.
That was my bad, not yours.
Or take the day 10 benefit. And they took the day 10 benefit, and they've got a flag, white flag with a black X on it. So who knows what that means?
X marks the spot flag. That's what it looks like. But they were cute because they said, we love the other teams. There's no way we would give them that penalty. Exactly. So I thought that was really nice. Then so red team comes in second. And
then green team came in third. So every team, red team has 1 strike. Mm-hmm. And green and black have 2. So red team is definitely going on to day 10, whether they win or lose tomorrow. And
what we really need for them to get that strike, so all 3 teams.
I know. I'm really curious if they would make that decision to let everybody. I mean, they are in the position to be able to make that decision to let everybody participate.
Wouldn't that be so cool? Yeah. Wouldn't that be so cool? The only thing that was, they wouldn't get that day 10 benefit, and they may say, well, that day 10, that might be what puts us over over
Right.
the top.
And having to only beat one team is probably easier than having to beat two teams on day 10.
Yeah.
But I'd be just curious.
That would be really, that's an interesting thought. That'll be interesting to see if that happens. And what I started to say before was the good news is day 10 is the last of meeting the relatives. I mean, day 9. So all of them will have met their relatives on this day.
Yeah.
Except for Blue Team, who unfortunately had to go home so early. So all 3 of our remaining teams will get to meet all the relatives that they have found for them. And so here's hoping for Precious's dad on day 9.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for her.
Yeah. I can't even imagine, setting this up like this. That's what she's expecting. So
yeah.
I guess the only thing that could really stop it would be if he wasn't willing. I mean, because they know he's alive. They know where he is.
They do know where he is?
I got the feeling because all her relatives know where he is. So there's no way that the relative race people wouldn't know because they've all said, he's alive.
I thought they knew who he was, but not necessarily where he was. But
maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I got the feeling that they knew where he was.
Yeah, and you're probably right.
I'm probably wrong. But that's okay. So that's kind of day 8 in a nutshell. We got another surprise win from Team Black. They're so funny when they win because they're just like, are you kidding me? Where the other teams are like, oh, and they're like, what? We won again?
They're so used to losing, yeah.
They're so. I'm so glad that they're still. I'm glad all the teams are still on because they're all. They're all just. I don't want any of them to go home. So. Red, if you're listening, I know it's too late. This is already a done deal, but if you could just, give it to somebody else, that'd make us all really happy. So, anyway, we need to move on to Long Lost Family, and we need to bring Chris in because this is her. We all have different shows that we like to watch, and she really likes to watch Long Lost Family, and so we need to bring you in. And
I was thinking if they don't find Precious's dad, maybe she could move over to Long Lost Family.
There you go. That's the segue. That's what they call it on TV. That's the segue to Long Lost Family. So let's start with Tara, who was the first person that they spoke to, and Tara was looking for her biological family after not having a very wonderful childhood with her adoptive mom. So, Chris, you want to take that one?
I really felt so sad for her that she just felt. I'm fortunate, I guess, that I come from a really large family and can't imagine that feeling of not belonging. Just always feeling like an outsider and not having anybody to rely on. I really felt sad for her.
I did too, and the way she said she was treated, and she said that she had told her that the reason that their relationship wasn't good is because her relationship with God wasn't right. I just felt that was just awful. Yeah. I think maybe her adoptive mom may have had some issues. That might have been.
She
when you tell a kid something like that, I think maybe you've got some issues. So go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Because how do you ever make that right? You don't, right?
You don't. No. How can you? Yeah. But she had her birth certificate, so that was a good lead.
That was.
So they could at least go to the county and start it. And then she took DNA. She took they tested her DNA as well, and they were able to find it was a cousin connection that they were able to find, and then from that find her biological mom.
Yeah.
Anybody, Mary, want to say? Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it kind of interested me too that her biological mom hadn't had a very good childhood, which is why she decided to put the baby up for adoption in the first place.
And the fact that she was 15.
15, I know.
15, I can't even imagine. And of course, she was very naive, and I think taken advantage of by the father.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And she had said that she had held her, taken care of her for like 4 days before she gave her up, and that she said she was in a church and felt very strongly that she would never have any other children, and she didn't have any other children. So that's kind of sad that she wasn't able to have more children. Mary, did you want to say anything about Tara's story?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're able to meet, and it looked like the meeting went okay. It didn't look too. I mean, she was when Chris told her that they had found her mom. I mean, I don't know. I wonder how long she cried. She sobbed and she sobbed.
She sobbed. Yeah.
You know, yeah. And so I'm glad that the meeting went well. Can you imagine had the meeting not, it looked like, I mean, we don't know, we're not there, but sometimes you can kind of tell when it's a little awkward. It seemed to go well. And so I hope that things continued to go well because of the fact that she didn't feel that connection and that she wanted so bad to have the connection with her biological mom.
I thought it was interesting because sometimes in those meetings, they jump right into, oh, we're going to have this best relationship ever. And, you're the missing piece of my life. And now everything's going to be golden. And, I found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And they weren't. They were a lot more realistic about it.
Yes.
And just kind of let's start slowly. And we both want to be in each other's lives. And let's figure out how that's going to happen.
And that's so much
and I think
more healthy.
The really, yeah, absolutely. And I think the better part in all of that was that they had both been through similar experiences. Mm-hmm. And so could really understand the other person. Right. I think if unless you've walked in somebody's shoes, you really don't get that.
Exactly.
You can say you do, but you really don't. So here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hoping, because you're right. A lot of times it is like, a lot of times the biological parents are very overbearing and very almost like, well, I'm here now. You don't need anybody else because I'm your mom or I'm your dad.
Let's just wash the last 40 years away. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
Yeah. I can't imagine that goes over well in future weeks and months and years. So somebody's got to back off a little bit and realize, they've had a life, and it's going to be hard to kind of fit, And we want these things to go well. We want them to go well. Yeah, we do. Do you? Just a question, because y'all have watched this show longer than I have. Have they ever had an episode where they've said, "And I'm sorry, they don't want to meet you"?
Yes,
they have.
They have,
because that's realistic.
Yeah,
I don't.
I think there was one earlier this season.
Well, no, I mean, because I think they wouldn't be showing it. If it wouldn't be a TV show without
it. There was one, and they said that she had tried it was Lisa Joyner's case, and she said that she had tried everything, and she had reached out, and the person hadn't called back. That was it. It wasn't that they said that they didn't want to, but they hadn't responded.
That's right. You're right. You're right. But there was somebody else for them to
said, well, is it right? Did they say why? And then she said they haven't responded.
Yes.
Yeah. But they did find someone. I mean, there was someone on that for that person.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I think it's. I mean, I'm sure that they have had instances, but that's not a TV show.
It's not a TV show.
Yeah. Or not.
Yeah, I mean, I like they always show that. They maybe show that once every couple of seasons, but at least it's a bit more realistic than people who are looking for their biological family. It wouldn't be fair if it looks like every biological parent's waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
Certainly the vast majority of them are, but I'm sure there are others that just aren't.
There's I've been working on a case.
Particularly of the ones where they're going to come up like on DNA where it's a sperm donor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been working on a DNA case and found the father, and I won't respond, want nothing to do. So
yeah. And that's what I was just wondering, because that is very realistic and they're not all going to end up in these happy reunions. And even those happy reunions that we see on TV
don't always last.
So the second story that they did was Ben. And this was a very interesting story because Ben's biological parents had a relationship with his adoptive parents. They chose the couple that they wanted to adopt him. They even met them. There was pictures of them holding him in the hospital. So he'd grown up seeing these photos. It wasn't like he didn't know anything. He knew their names. He didn't know last names, but he knew their names. and he wanted to find them. You know, he knew that they just were looking for a family to take care of him because they couldn't. And he had a good life. He said he grew up, had a great bond with his parents, and just wanted to find out. But he did have some issues. They introduced us to his girlfriend, and she said that once he decided, and it had a lot to do with, he was in Iraq, or he was in the military, and he served, and something through that service kind of sparked this need and want. And so she was supporting him on the journey. So anybody want to take over with his story?
So they found his mom. They were able to find his mom, and she had said that she just wasn't ready to be a mom, and wasn't settled down.
They were truck drivers,
right?
Too.
They were truck drivers. The two of them drove the truck, long haul trucking together, and they, but the mother wasn't ready to settle down. That she and the birth father were a couple.
They were engaged,
but she just couldn't see. I think she wasn't ready to stop being on the road, and didn't want to have a child in that kind of environment. It wasn't going to work. So it was kind of at her instigation that they placed the child for adoption. And it was really hard on the father. He did not want to do that. It wasn't really his choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like she felt at that time. And I don't think she was all that young.
Like 23 or something like that?
Yeah, she was not really young, but not ready to
but really didn't want to cramp her lifestyle with the, being burdened with the baby. And I felt bad for the dad, because he said he even looked at options of trying to have the baby himself and raise it. But how can you do that when you're on the road, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
And once they were talking to him, I was looking again as they were showing those photos, and just thinking, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine what was going through his head as they were taking these photos. And he knew that he was,
wasn't going to see his baby.
Yeah. And he had said that as he was driving, he would look into cars and imagine if he saw. But the son had said the same thing, that because he knew that they were truck drivers, and that when they took trips, he would always look into the truck cabs to see if he recognized the people driving the trucks. So I thought that was interesting, and quite a bonding thing to hear that from each other. I thought that was really cool.
And what I really liked too was that early on, when was it Lisa that was working with them, and they said to Lisa, the mom said to Lisa, the biological mom said to Lisa, to be honest, I just fell in love with the adoptive parents, the adoptive parents. Right? Yes. So it was that connection, and she knew that everything was going to be okay for her baby.
Mm-hmm. He'd be okay and be raised in a safe environment, and she felt okay about giving him up.
Yeah.
So not only did they find her, but they found him. So both
through her, because she had kept in touch with him. So through her, they'd been able to connect with him as well.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the mom, the biological mother, she felt uncomfortable, or maybe that there was some bad blood or whatever with her ex-fiance, the father, and she wanted to meet with the father before she met with the son, just so she wanted to make sure they were on the same page, or at least she knew how he was feeling and how he was going to react to it.
Right, have that drama take place ahead of time.
Yeah.
Instead of in front of
right.
Probably was a very smart idea, but they seemed to be able to handle that meeting okay. It was a little sticky at first, but they seemed to be able to I'm just thinking, that poor guy, he's looking at her going, you made me give up my child.
I know.
And to be able to meet with her and be able to have a rational conversation says a lot about his character, I think, that he was able to.
Absolutely, because you know what? I wasn't even sure that they were going to be together for meeting their son. Like, I thought maybe that would be two separate meetings. So it really says a lot for the biological dad that he was able to, swallow it all up and be there for the son.
Which is, so they did that for him,
Yeah, absolutely.
Did it for him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So their meeting seemed to go really well. It was, she seemed still a little bit nervous about the whole thing, but she, I guess she was just afraid that her son was just going to be so angry with her. And even though, they told her from the beginning, he's okay, he's not angry with you, but I guess you just don't know,
You don't know. Yeah. And you don't know if they're just saying that, right?
Yeah, until they get you.
Yeah. And then what I really liked was that the two sets of parents met. I always find it so incredibly emotional when the two moms thank each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you for giving us, and thank you for taking him. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me that because they had chosen them as the adoptive parents, it's interesting that there was no communication during the time he was growing up, because so many times with those types of situations there are,
Yeah.
But that, I guess maybe that was just part of the process. We'll take him, but then he's ours.
Yeah.
Or
you know what? Maybe the biological mom didn't want to.
She had it because yeah.
You never
You just don't. You never know what.
Yeah.
I just that was so wonderful for them to do for him, for their son, to be able to come together again, unite, and just say and the thank yous. We wouldn't have been able to have a child if you hadn't have done this, and he wouldn't have had a good life had you not been willing to take him. So
exactly.
that was amazing. That was really amazing. I really liked that part.
And then the added bonus was the girlfriend came in to meet those parents.
Yeah. That was great. I like that when there's the other parts of the family will come in. And share their support as well. So it's not so much of an alone thing. You're going through this by yourself. So I thought that was really good too.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I mean, the biological father he is going to get to see his son. I mean, he's still driving the truck, I think, and he will be able to see him. And the biological mom was almost a little jealous at that. You'll get to see him more than I will.
But he did offer to pick her up and bring her.
Not that far. Yeah.
And they didn't say, did you notice her here? Are they attached to other people? Are they married? They didn't
say.
They didn't say. So it makes you wonder, I don't know. Maybe they made a love connection, another show. But I thought that was really cool. So anybody got anything else about either of the shows that they would like to?
No, just that from now on, the time has changed for Long Lost Family. It's now 10 o'clock instead of 9.
So they must be going to 1 hour then, instead of the 2-hour shows.
Oh, maybe.
Because if it's at 10 o'clock, they're not going to have it 10 till midnight.
Well, not if they want the audience to stay up.
Luckily for I just record it. So
somebody said the other day, 60 might be the new 40, but midnight's now the new 9 o'clock.
Exactly. So, thanks for saying that. I've got it set up, to record on my DVR, but you never know, when if it's going to catch it or not. So all right. So next week we've got day 9 of Relative Race, and we've got a new episode of Long Lost Family. So.
And then in a couple of weeks, it will be, who do you think yours starts?
It's coming back on. Exactly.
Yeah, December 3rd or something. Yeah.
So, all righty. Lots to talk about. I'm excited. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining me tonight. I always love to hear your insights. It's one thing to watch it and have your own thoughts, but to talk about it and hear things that other people pick up that maybe you didn't, and and get others' opinions. So thank you so much for coming on. I sure appreciate it, and we will see.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime, all the time. I love having you here. So with that, we're grateful for you watching, and we will see you next time on Gen Friends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.